Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Coach Everett Withers Show as we talk James Madison University Dukes football with their head coach, Everett Withers. I'm Curt Dudley. Well, for the fifth consecutive Coach Withers Show, we get to talk about a victory as the Dukes went on the road up to Stony Brook and came home with a 27-24 win over the Seawolves. 5 wins in a row now for the Dukes. And this was a game in which Madison went up and played the #1 defense in all of FCS, the football championship subdivision, coach. But one of the underlying stories to this was the Dukes defense came through with a shutout in the second half.
Well, yeah, Curt, we played better defense in the second half. Not perfect, but better defense. We're able to keep them off the board in the second half. That was critical because of their defense. They had a very stout defense themselves, and #1 in FCS football. So heads off to our defense and our staff for adjusting at halftime and able to be more physical and stop the run better in the second half.
As we looked at the numbers last week, they were yielding just 235 yards a game, under 13 points a ball game. You more than doubled that in your overall offensive output, and then of course the 27 points a game as well. So when you look at what it showed up on paper, how did that translate to the real game?
Well, it was good that our offensive staff was able to halftime identify some plays and some formations that would give us a chance to run the football better. We felt like we were a play away. In the first half, I think we had 6 penalties on offense that really slowed us down and slowed our tempo down, slowed our momentum down in the first half. We were able to limit some of those in the second half, and we were able to hit some more explosive plays in the second half. So obviously our output was better because our execution was better in the second half.
You talked about those penalties. 4 of them were holding calls. Right. On all were first down gains, I think, prior to that, or very big gains. But of course, yes, you did overcome that. What did you do adjustment-wise from the running perspective? Because Juwan Latney was held to 4 yards in the first half. Right. He got 100 in the second half.
Well, I think what happened was, again, formationally, we were able to get in some formations that allowed us some extra numbers on the backside of those formations. We were able to get some counter plays on the backside. Juwan's a tough physical runner. We were able to hit some inside runs. And obviously, tough runner, was able to break some tackles and make some long runs there in the second half.
Yeah, he had the 43-yard run there that certainly did help things. Vadley, this week, the CAA Offensive Player of the Week, had another wonderful ball game. Right. Set a couple of records through 3 touchdown passes, 24 for the season. That's a record. Right. Also became the all-time single-season total offensive leader for total yards, 3,352. We throw those numbers out there. But again, with him, he allowed you to extend a lot of plays and to keep the offense moving, even when it was backing up at times.
Well, Vad's one of those guys that athletically can extend plays, and that's what you're looking for in our offense. We need that in our offense, a guy that can make a good play out of a bad play. They're all not going to be drawn up perfect, and Vad has that capability of extending plays and finding receivers. The things I like about him is Vad is making the really good decisions when to throw the ball down the field and when to tuck it and run it. And to me, that shows some growth in his progression in this offense.
Let's go to some of the more pivotal plays in the game. Trailing 24-20, they set up for a chip shot, yet they're going to go for it here on the fake field goal. It did not fake out one Simeon Robinson and the Dukes defense, quite frankly.
Obviously, we knew that they were going to try to gain possessions. They faked a punt earlier in the game and actually got the first down. And we felt like that they would have to score more points than they had to beat us. And we knew going in, that wasn't the opportunity that I thought that they would fake it, but there was a tip in the formation that we saw, and our guys did a really good job up front of recognizing, and Simeon made a great play.
Now that gives you possession at your own 9-yard line, but a mere 3 plays later, you're in the end zone. How did Brandon Ravenel get so wide open for a 76-yard scoring touchdown toss?
Well, we caught him in the zone coverage, and again, off of the play-action pass, at the top of the routes, we had 2 receivers, and we basically just exchanged the routes, and they dropped the inside post. And again, a busted coverage, and it's not unusual to see that happen if you have the protection, and we had the protection. The offensive line did a really good job, and Vad found the open Brandon Ravenel down the middle.
Once you did that, the defense buckled down even further because you had 2 4 and outs.
Yeah.
Weren't 3 and outs, but
Right.
4 and outs, just about as good. And then they started to drive again. They have a critical penalty, sets them behind the sticks.
Yeah.
That allowed you to pin the ears back a little bit and come at them.
Yeah, I think that was critical to getting them behind the sticks so we could rush the passer. We felt like if we could get them behind the sticks, rushing the passer would be a plus for us, and it was. And we were able to make a big play there at the end because we were able to go get after the quarterback.
You know, we've talked a lot about some of the defensive linemen, but one play I want to go to, they ended up scoring, did Stony Brook, but when Alex Mosley ran down the running back from behind, defensive lineman, that's one of the toughest positions to play, I understand, just because of the energy and effort.
Right.
But to go back and still, you can't quit on the play. And talk about Alex and what he's done this year.
Well, he's one of those guys that's really grown leaps and bounds on our defense. And again, a guy that didn't play an awful lot last year, now he's playing a pivotal role in our defensive front and giving a great effort. And that's the expectations of our defensive front. And our whole football team is to finish the play through the echo of the whistle. And Alex and our defense, they all know the expectations are there for that.
Well, Coach, unfortunately, and it is college football, you do have injuries. And one of the sad things is that, well, Dean Cheatham, he was having a great season, maybe the type of season that would earn him an all-conference pick, second, third team possibly. But unfortunately, he breaks the bone. He'll be lost for the year.
Yeah, we'll miss Dean's production. We'll miss his leadership, his effort that he gives, and obviously we gotta replace him. Klusterman will have to back him up or have to come in and replace him now. And I think those guys will do a great job. We hope we can continue that. We'll find ways to come up with that production. If not by tight end position, some other position. So our offensive staff, I'm sure, is working diligently to replace those numbers.
Coach, after the ball game, you and I chat, obviously, and you said that on Sunday you'll have a winter dinner. What's that all about?
Well, we talk about each week the process that we go through, and the process starts on Sunday night after our team meeting, and we go out and practice on Sunday. And then we kind of put the game behind us. But the last thing we want to do is reward our players from having a great week of preparation and going. If you win the game, we call it winner's dinner. And what we do is we take our kids up on campus and we feed them as good as we can feed them, as good as the NCAA and our university will allow us to feed them, and really try to make it a nice dinner for them on campus. And give them the sense that job well done. And if you don't win, you don't get quite as good a dinner. But that's why we call it winner's dinner.
All right, very good. And of course, they've won 7 times now, 7-3. We talked about relevance last week.
Right.
You had to win this past Saturday, become even more relevant.
Right.
You're in the conversation now, ranked number 25 in the country.
Well, again, it's all about 1 week at a time. And we told our kids back, 4 or 5 weeks ago that, hey, the purpose of this last half of the year is to get better and to see the production and to be relevant. And we're right on cue with that. And again, it's one game at a time, one play at a time. And that's how we'll look at it. The rankings really don't matter to the end of the year, so we'll find out where we are at the end.
Well, I know the fans do appreciate it. Gives them something to talk about,
Sure.
gives us something to talk about, but still, you got to go out and win ball games. And we'll talk about the Duke's next opponent later on in today's show. It's the rival Richmond Spiders. But first, we're going to take a timeout here on the Everett Withers Show.
Office products, we buy right so you can too.
That's right. At Office Products, we do things right. With our multi-million-dollar inventory of new, used, and refurbished furniture, you're sure to find exactly what you're looking for. From desks to chairs, filing cabinets, and so much more.
All the major brands that you're looking for. Office products, we buy right so you can too.
Office Products, we do things right.
Hey, did you know Harrisonburg Nissan has the best selection of pre-owned cars in the Valley? With something for everyone. Best selection, locally owned, #1 volume dealer, it all adds up. Check it out at harrisonburgnissan.com.
Clear to zip. Break a little. That's good. Good job. Game on.
And Telos wants to give you more for the holidays. like 2 gigs of data and unlimited talk and text for just $25 a month. That's a better value than Verizon and AT&T. And nothing says happy holidays like getting the smartphone you want for 0 down. And Telos will even buy out your contract. It's $25, 2 gigs of data, and unlimited talk and text. Happier holidays from Telos. More phones, more lines, more data. Get more for the holidays from Telos.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Coach Everett Withers Show. As we were talking with Coach Withers, of course, the Dukes with their great defensive effort in the second half. And we're going to start with a little chalk talk from defensive coordinator Brandon Staley.
Hi, I'm Brandon Staley. I'm the defensive coordinator at James Madison. I'm here to review a couple plays from the Stony Brook game. The second play that I'm going to review was the last play of the game. It was 2nd down and 17. It was coming off a penalty where they had to take a timeout. And we're up by 3, so they're just outside of field goal range here. So we thought that they're probably going to try and get in field goal range, try and get an easy completion for the quarterback to make it an easier field goal for their kicker. They still had 1 timeout left, so we knew that we kind of had to play it straight. So we're in a 4-man pass rush right here. We're in nickel defense. We've got 5 defensive backs in the game, and what we were trying to do is we were trying to get a bracket on the number 2 receivers here. They come in at 2-by-2 formation here, and their top 2 targets were their slot receiver and number 44, their tight end. So what we're doing is we're in double coverage here with Marquise Woodyard and the high safety there, which is Aaron Peak. He was in the game because Dean got hurt. And then Raheem Stallings and Marcel Johnson on their tight end. Our 2 corners are playing man-to-man on the outside. But what makes this whole play go is our 2 defensive ends timing up the snap count. If you guys just pay attention to Sage Harold and Brandon Lee, they're the ones that make this play go. When the ball snapped, you can see right now that both men, have got the tackles beat. And anytime you can time up the snap count that well and have that type of takeoff, it's going to look good for your pass rush. And we're fortunate that those 2 finished the play, and Alex Mosley had a really heads-up play, and finished it off with a scoop. From the end zone copy, you can take a look at, their technique. Sage on the outside uses one of his patented moves, which is what we call a wiper move. He wipes his hands, on the outside part of the offensive tackle. And Brandon on the other side just uses a speed move, and a dip and rip to get to the quarterback. They get there simultaneously, and we always talk about the end of every play as a takeaway, and this was no exception. And Alex does a heads-up job of getting on the football, and we're able to close the game out. Look forward to seeing everybody this weekend against Richmond. It's a big game. We know that everybody in JMU Nation is really excited, and we can't wait to see everybody in purple and gold there.
Now this is the big one. This is the exact same play on the other hash, the exact same play, and we had completed the flood route to DeAndre several times. I think it would probably been 3 or 4 times at this point that we had completed this route, and we had thrown this several other times in previous games. The exact same read. Read the corner. The corner sets his feet right here. The strong safety sees the flood route. And that leaves our inside 9 wide open. It's the exact same protection, tied into the protection. We're going to get a play fake into the boundary. Same read, same play. But the execution of the play earlier, throwing the flood route, is what creates and allows this 76-yard touchdown at a pivotal point in the game in the second half to happen for us. You look at the protection right here. We're pulling a guard. It's a straight 6-man gap protection. Meaning this whole side of the line is blocking to their right. He's in man protection. The tight end's going to help. We pull and trap the end right here. And it allows our quarterback to sit in there nice and tight in the pocket and find our inside 9, or that turns into a post at this point to Brandon Ravenel for a 76-yard touchdown.
Thank you there, Coach Maringer. Well, again, we're going to take you a little inside the world of compliance. And this time, Steve Laporta will give us some insight into academic eligibility.
How's it going, Dukes fans? My name is Stephen Laporta, the Director of Compliance here at James Madison University. Today we're outside the Athletics Performance Center, or as we call it, the APC. The APC houses several things, from coaches' offices to strength and conditioning and athletic training services, to the most important part, our student-athlete academic services. In student-athlete academic services, we have a computer lab for our student-athletes to use, as well as access to academic advisors and tutor rooms. The reason the academic services area is so important is they're responsible for ensuring that all of our student-athletes are academically eligible. The NCAA has set up specific guidelines for us to follow to make sure our student-athletes are meeting requirements so they graduate from JMU with a degree. There are a couple requirements that the NCAA requires. They have to, all student-athletes must be enrolled full-time, which is at least 12 credits per semester. They also have to meet certain credit hour requirements. Every year they have to meet percentage of degree, and lastly, they need to meet certain GPA requirements. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into each one of those sections so you know exactly what our student-athletes have to do. The first one is the credit hour requirements. All student-athletes must pass at least 6 credits per semester. Football student-athletes have to pass 9 credits in the fall to be eligible next fall. Between the fall and spring semesters, all student-athletes have to pass 18 credits. And for the freshmen, they have to pass 24 credits by the beginning of their second year of college. In regards to the 6 and 18-hour requirements, the credits must be going towards a specific major. This is a requirement that the regular student at JMU does not have to deal with. The unfortunate side effect of this legislation is that it eliminates opportunities to explore other classes and degree programs for our student-athletes. The second area we're going to talk to you about is percentage of degree. Percentage of degree basically says that student-athletes have to pass a certain amount of credits to be eligible the next fall. What the NCAA set up is that all student-athletes graduate within 5 years. So, after a student-athlete's second year in college, they have to have at least 40% of their degree completed. After their third year in college, they need to have 60% of their degree completed. And after their fourth year in college, 80% of their degree completed, with the thought that they will graduate after that year. Due to these requirements, it greatly inhibits our student-athletes' ability to change their major. Since all credits must be going towards this specific major, a lot of credits don't transfer in between majors. Lastly, we have GPA requirements. A JMU student-athlete has to meet at least 90% of the requirement for graduation after their first year in school. After their second year in school, they have to meet at least 95% of the GPA requirements to graduate. And after the third year in school, they have to be at the GPA requirements to graduate. They must stay there for the remainder of their college career here. All these things are checked semesterly. We'll check them once in the winter and once after the spring semester. We work together with our student athletes, with the academic advisors, to make sure all of our student athletes are meeting these requirements. Unfortunately, if a student athlete doesn't meet one of these requirements, they will not be eligible to compete on the field. If you have any questions regarding eligibility for our student athletes, please feel free to reach out to the JMU Compliance Office. Thanks for your time, and as always, go Dukes.
And Telos wants to give you more for the holidays, like 2 gigs of data and unlimited talk and text for just $25 a month. That's a better value than Verizon and AT&T. And nothing says happy holidays like getting the smartphone you want for 0 down. And Telos will even buy out your contract. It's $25, 2 gigs of data, and unlimited talk and text. Happier holidays from Entelos. More phones, more lines, more data. Get more for the holidays from Entelos.
At Harrisonburg Nissan, right now, you can get 0% financing on select models. Hey, keep your money. Use Nissans. We'll honor and beat all buying service prices. We want your business. Check it out at harrisonburgnissan.com.
Office products, we buy right so you can too.
That's right. At Office Products, we do things right. With our multi-million-dollar inventory of new, used, and refurbished furniture, you're sure to find exactly what you're looking for. From desks to chairs, filing cabinets, and so much more.
All the major brands that you're looking for. Office products, we buy right so you can too.
Office Products, we do things right.
Clear to zip. Break a little. That's good. job. Game on.
Come closer. Yeah, that's it. If you buy now at Harrisonburg Nissan, you won't have to make a payment till 2015. But don't tell anyone. If the word got out, everyone will be buying there. Check it out. HarrisonburgNissan.com.
Welcome back to the Everett Withers Show, but we're going to talk a little bit about basketball. The JMU basketball Dukes will open up their season this weekend. A big game for both the JMU men and women. But Kenny Brooks of the JMU women's basketball team, the two-time reigning CAA champs, will join us now.
I think it was monumental steps for our program. Obviously, we call it, a special year, with the record, with the kids and the accomplishments that they achieved. But I thought it was monumental for our program because we learned how to win in the NCAA tournament. And it is very important for us. We had been there before many times, but I thought last year, getting over that hump, getting the first round victory, I thought it was monumental, and I think it's going to springboard us until this year. And our goal is going to be even more further. Let's go further, and I think we can do some of those things because of what happened last year. Well, I don't know if you can ever replace Nikki and Kirby. What those two have done for our program is almost legendary. Two of the better kids have ever played in this program. But their legacy they left for us is really, is going to help Precious Hall, learn how to lead. She's going to follow in Kirby's footsteps. And Jasmine Gwathmey, she kind of deferred to Nikki and her situation last year. And now I think she's ready to step up and, and fill that role. So it's going to be hard to replace them, but I think these kids will do it in their own way. Well, I think the biggest newcomer that we have is probably Lady Okafor. And you probably look at me saying, well, she played last year, but I think that was a different lady. And she was just trying to get acclimated last year, really trying to find out where she fit in. And she was part of our success, but I think this year she's going to be a much bigger part of our success. You look at her transformation, she's done a great job. She's lost some weight, which is going to allow her to get up and down the floor and play longer stints. And I'm very happy, very pleased with what she's doing. And then after that, we have a couple of freshmen who are going to join the party. You look at Carly Brew, who's a 6-foot athletic post player who just really has a knack for rebounding. And then Haley Barron. Haley Barron is probably one of the better shooters that we recruited. Hopefully she'll be able to contribute. And I think it's going to be a good situation for her because she's got the preseason player of the year and Precious Hall on one wing, and she's got Jasmine Gwathmey, who's a preseason all-conference player on another wing, and Muff Mickens, who can find her, and her job is just catch the ball and shoot it. And I think she's going to really pay dividends for us. But then at the break, we're going to get a kid, Ashley Perez, who I think is going to be a great addition for us. She plays a lot like Precious. She's a really good shooter. She's a strong-handed defensive player, and I think she's going to add something to us after we get started at Christmas time. UCLA is going to be very athletic. They're a much different team than we had last year. They had last year, I'm sorry. We played them last year in Florida, and they were a senior-oriented team. They had some injuries, had a lot of kids sitting out, and those kids are ready to play this year. They have the #1 recruiting class in the country, and those kids are ready to play. They're very talented. They had 5 kids in their recruiting class, and 3 of them were McDonald's All-Americans, and all 5 were in the top 30 in the country. So they're going to be a deep basketball team. Their team is somewhat of an enigma to us because we've never seen those kids play other than on the AAU circuit. We understand what their system is going to be, but we don't know how they're going to use those kids. And so it's probably going to be an adjustment for both teams trying to figure each other out because we don't have any film on each other. And the first 5-6 minutes will probably be that a period. But then after that, I think you're going to see a very high intensity game and a high caliber game. The CAA is going to be very interesting this year. You look at it last year, there were a lot of young basketball teams. Delaware obviously reached the finals to play against us with a bunch of freshmen. I think they're going to be much better, much improved. because of their experience that they gained last year. Drexel's always going to be a problem. You know, Denise Dillon is one of the best coaches in the country, in my opinion, and she gets her kids to play to their ability and even beyond that. And they run that system that's very hard to guard. After that, we think it's going to be wide open. College of Charleston returns a couple of good players. Elon, we don't know about because they played in a different conference last year. But other than that, there's a lot of talent in the league. Teams, there's a lot of new teams, new coaches. So I think it's just going to be a very interesting year, a very talented group, and I think it's going to be very challenging for us.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Everett Withers Show. Coach Withers rejoins us now. We're going to talk about the next opponent for the Dukes, the Richmond Spiders. This is really, Coach, the biggest rivalry game there is in JMU's football lore. I know you don't worry so much about that. It will be the 32nd meeting. Richmond is a program that runs two quarterbacks because of injury for one reason. They're different style quarterbacks, but that doesn't really change in the way that you prepare the ball for the ball game defensively.
No, you talk about system that they run. They want to be able to throw the ball around. They use some of the quick passing game very much like us is the run game. And, obviously you want to be able to run the football some, and their quick pass really adds to their run game. Both quarterbacks, Rocco and Strauss, are very talented quarterbacks in different ways. I think Strauss is obviously a bigger arm and throws the ball down the field and has a very good concept knowledge of what they want to do in their passing game. Rocco, obviously the nephew of the head football coach. Both kids come from UVA, transfers from UVA, so have a strong background in FBS football. So the offense won't change. They want to run the football, but they want to use the short passing game, and then they'll take their shots down the field. So we just want to prepare the way we prepare each week for the run game, stop the run, force them into predictable passing situations, and then get our ears back for the quarterback.
Yeah, Michael Strauss is the one that has a better ratio. He's thrown for 11 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Rocco just the opposite. And as we tape this show, we're not sure whether we're going to see Strauss or not.
Sure, and not sure. And again, we have to prepare for their overall offense. It's hard to prepare for one quarterback over the other. So we have to prepare what they conceptually want to do on offense, and we feel like that is throwing the ball around to really 3 different receivers that are very talented, and we have to do a good job of shutting that down along with shutting down the run game.
Do they move these receivers around a lot, just like they did Trey McBride at William & Mary, for example?
Right, no doubt. You'll see these guys in motion, different spots in the formations, 3x1, 2x2, empty formations. So we've got to do a really good job of recognizing the formation setups and understanding the route concepts out of those formations.
Let's go to the other side of the ball. What do you expect out of them defensively? Historically, they're pretty good on defense.
Yeah, they've always been historically really good on defense, and I don't see that changing. I know they've struggled a little bit with a running quarterback, and hopefully that continues this week.
Okay.
But what we want to do is just continue what we do in our offense. We have to be able to run the football. We need to be able to control the football this week because they do have a high-powered offense. So it's going to be important for us to be able to run the football and score points when we get in scoring zones.
All right, so the Dukes against the Richmond Spiders, and kickoff time will be at 12:30 from Robins Stadium, and it will be nationally televised on NBC Sports. So, Coach, once again, congratulations on the 7 wins. Let's go get number 8 on Saturday. What do you say?
No doubt. That's our plan.
All right, very good. And hopefully we can see you there at Robins Stadium. For head coach Everett Withers, I'm Curt Dudley. Thank you for joining us this week here on the Coach Everett Withers Show.